Hello, welcome to Stage 40 about the Language 1 review. We are going to finish up our discussion of indirect statement. So we're going to start off reminding you of this chart of all the infinitives we know, the present active infinitive and passive infinitive, the perfect active infinitive and passive infinitive. Remember that it's made up of a perfect passive participle plus the infinitive of the verb to be. So you need to make that participle agree with something. And finally, the future active infinitive, again, that's a future active participle, so you have to make it agree with its noun. I'm also going to remind you that the present infinitive in indirect statement means same time as the verb of saying or believing or thinking. A perfect infinitive means prior time, time before the verb of saying or believing or thinking. And a future infinitive means time after, subsequent time to the verb of thinking or believing or saying. So we're going to look at some examples. So present active infinitive. So here's our direct statement. Puella equum amat. The girl loves the horse, or the girl is loving the horse. So let's put it in indirect statement after dico, I say. So we're going to take the subject of the direct statement, that's the puella, and put her in the accusative. We're going to take the verb and we're going to put it into the infinitive. And remember, this action, ama, is happening the same time as I say it. The girl loves the horse. So we're going to use a present infinitive, same time, contemporaneous time. Dico puelam equum amare, I say that the girl loves the horse, or I say that the girl is loving the horse. If we change the verb, and this is the new thing in this chapter, if we change the verb of saying or believing or thinking to a different tense, we don't have to change the tense of the infinitive, right? The original statement was the girl loves the horse. The loving is happening at the same time as the saying. So even if we cast that into past time, the loving is happening the same time as the saying. So I said that the girl loved or was loving the horse, right? Because she was doing it the same time I was saying it. Okay? So this is actually really easy in Latin, right? If you have this direct statement, this is going to be the infinitive. It's going to be a present infinitive, and you can change the tense of this verb of saying to whatever you want, but the infinitive is going to say the same. So let's try it with a passive infinitive. Equus apuela amator. The horse is being loved by the girl. So if we put it in indirect statement, we're going to take the horse. It's in the passive now, so he's the subject now. And we're going to make him accusative. We're going to take the verb and we're going to turn it into an infinitive. So that's the present passive infinitive. So I say that the horse is being loved by the girl. Dico equum apuela amari. If we change the main verb, we still don't change the contents of this indirect statement, although we have to do some stuff with it in English. I said that the horse was loved or was being loved by the girl. So how do we use the perfect active infinitive in indirect statement? Well, here's our direct statement to start off. Puella equum amavit. The girl loved the horse. So if we're going to put that into indirect statement, let's start with the present tense verb dico. Dico puellam equum ama visse. We've taken puella and we've put it in the accusative. We've taken the verb and we've put it into the infinitive. And even if this were an imperfect verb, we'd still use a perfect infinitive because this perfect infinitive means time before the time of saying. And if you think about this direct statement, the girl loved the horse, the loving happened before I said it. So, dico puelam equum ama wissa, I say that the girl loved or has loved the horse. If I change the tense of the verb of saying, I still don't have to change the contents of that indirect statement. So, dixi puelam equum ama wissa, I said that the girl had loved the horse in English. So this perfect infinitive means time before the verb of saying. Let's do it in the passive. Equus apuela amatus est. The horse has been loved by the girl, or the horse was loved by the girl. So that's a perfect passive right there. So let's put it into indirect statement. We're going to take the equus, make him accusative because he's the subject. We're going to take the verb and put it into the infinitive. So the est becomes esse, and the amatus has to modify something. Here, amatus modifies equus. Here, amatum modifies equum. So, dico equum apuela amatum esse, I say that the horse was loved or has been loved by the girl. This amatum esse means time before the time of the verb of saying or thinking or believing. And if I change the tense of that verb, I don't have to change the indirect statement. I don't have to change that. But now amatum esse means time before a verb that's already in the past. So we're going to translate it. I said that the horse had been loved by the girl. You can see here, like the Latin is actually easier than the English. English is tricky. Latin's pretty simple. I can change the tense of this lead verb and I don't have to change the contents of the indirect statement. Because in the direct statement, this is happening. The horse was loved by the girl. The horse has been loved by the girl. It's happening before the time that I say it. Finally, let's look at the future active infinitive. So, puella equum amabit. The girl will love the horse. We can say that another way in Latin. Puella equum amatora est. The girl is about to love the horse. Those are pretty much equivalent in Latin, but this form is going to be more useful to us to make an indirect statement. So, if I want to take this and put it into indirect statement, I'm going to take the subject and put it in the accusative. I'm going to take the verb and put it in the infinitive. So est becomes esse. And amatora, which used to modify puella, now has to modify puellam. So it's going to be amatoram. So, dico puellam equum amatoram esse. I say that the girl is going to love or will love or is about to love the horse. Okay, so this future infinitive active indicates time after, subsequent time to the main verb of saying or thinking or believing. If I change the tense of that verb of saying or thinking or believing, I don't have to change anything about the indirect statement in Latin. But now, this future active infinitive indicates time subsequent to a verb that's in the past. So I'm going to have to translate it. I said that the girl was going to love or would love the horse. All right, so our new thing is verbs of saying or thinking or believing that are in different tenses, not all in the present like they used to be. But what we found out is that you don't have to change the contents of the indirect statement, but that this infinitive, an indirect statement, always has time relative to that main verb. And that's it.